Welcome to the Divorce Dad Playbook podcast. I'm Dan Levy.
I'm Scott Levy.
Scott, I have to say, we're taping this a little early in the morning because I don't sleep anymore. But I scrambled to get a song today. So not great. It's not great.
So you're saying you're unprepared to begin this?
I'm not unprepared. I was preparing something else. And I thought the song wasn't as important as that. But then it hit me like that's become like our thing, right? Like, what is the theme song going to be? And now it's a lot of pressure. I've put the pressure on myself to like step up my game.
It's totally self-imposed pressure.
Right. So what we talked about the last episode that we were going to pay off in this episode, you want to talk about dating sites. I don't know if we're going to get into the full gamut of like do's and don'ts, which we can do, and we're certainly have on the site, and we're going to continue to talk about that. But I do have a little game for you. I know you love the impromptu games. And so what I was trying to do, because of that and because of just some other conversations that we've had lately, is I thought a good theme song would be James Brown's Get On Up, Sex Machine. I mean, because, but, I play into the fact that we don't have the rights. So I'm trying to find an a cappella version of Sex Machine, because how is there not that? And I came across this. So we're going to play this as our theme song. It's coming in. Here you go. So it says, Get On Up, instrumental, in parentheses. I'm like, okay, cool. This doesn't sound like James Brown, but it's got a nice mellow beat to it, right? A little smooth jazz.
You're saying it's early, and I mean, this is sleepy time music, man.
Different kind of sleepy time than you're thinking there, boy. This is sleepy time music. This is when I could pretend to like get real close to the mic and do my old, like I've ever done it before in my entire life. But that like smooth DJ voice coming at you on the ones and twos, ladies. Anyway, this is called Get On Up by the Hit Crew, Drew's famous instrumental R&B and hip hop collection, Volume 3. For those of you who are wanting to play this a little later.
Not so sure we're going to do a huge promotional push for them, but that's okay.
I was going to say we could throw this down as a bed the whole rest of the show, but maybe not. Maybe we shouldn't be making bed jokes with this song on.
I'm glad you're finding the humor in this one.
What
it's literally putting me to sleep.
Oh, man, come on. You and I live very different lives. Yeah, it was slow jams.
Yeah, you're tired because you don't sleep, and I'm tired because my kids had to wake me up to kick me out of my spaces so they can do school this morning.
Rocking the slow jams. I don't have my kids at school, so thanks for that. How are you, sir? Other than kicked out, apparently.
Yeah, I kicked out of my spaces. Good. Feeling a little sore. Had a big workout this weekend. Was not necessarily.
Can you show the people? Can you show the people? First of all, this weekend it's Wednesday. It's a weekend. It's Wednesday. How are you still sore? Can you show the people what you're drinking today?
Oh, my it's my morning shake.
What's the flavor in that? It just looks like pale. Is it the pale
well,
flavor?
It's got a bit. No. This is salted caramel.
Oh, and so much sugar in that.
It's so good. You want to say hi, Luke?
Oh, here we go. Show's already been derailed.
Luke's taking a break.
I have like 2 minutes.
Hey.
You got a 2-minute break, so he just said hi. Just in case anyone thought I was not kicked out of my place for my kids. No, this is a salted caramel shake with salted caramel protein powder, almond milk, a banana, and some ice. That's it.
That's very interesting. Delicious. And you know that I used to make a smoothie every day, and it had 20 ingredients. Actually, I'm going to put that on the site, like the ultimate smoothie, because it's amazing.
This is great. I'm not saying who the company is, because I want to make sure.
Give us money.
No, I'm not saying give money. I want to get permission, but that's okay. I'm sure they'd be very happy. They have lots of influencers all over the place pushing their product.
Yeah. So, ice to me is a waste. Like I always will substitute ice with another frozen fruit or like frozen bananas, because like then your ice is just water. You're just adding water to it for no reason, as opposed to nutrients that could serve as water.
Yeah, but I have a plant-based protein and a banana and almond milk, how much more nutrients do I need?
If we literally want to make this a 2-hour show, I could tell you all the things that I used to put in my smoothies.
Nope.
And actually, you know what? Just for that, I'm going to make a smoothie today after the show, and I'll take a
Great.
picture of it, and I'll throw it
And
up on the
post
gram.
on the site. Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
put it on Instagram, and then we'll talk about
Yeah.
what's in my smoothie.
You know what's funny is a part of the show today, because I know you were probably about to say this, is we have Robin O'Brien coming on, and she's
By all means, take over.
She's
I'll see you later.
Well, this is 50-50. So
Oh, can you see I'm wearing pajamas? Crap.
Yeah, that was great. So it is early in the morning for you.
Superman wears me pajamas.
She's a great fitness guru who actually, as you'll hear in this interview, she does things with lots of people, including Luke, who you just saw,
Yes.
and she's a big believer in you know, I think what she actually said, which is an interesting thing that she said, I don't want to give it away. I'll wait for it. She was just talking about part of the body that's made in the kitchen, and the other part that's made in the gym. So
yeah, no, that's actually
eating is important.
Yes. I don't know if it's part of the body. I think it's part of the training process. But nonetheless, to your point, yeah, it's very interesting. Well, no, you're right. But okay. Yes, you're right. You're looking at me like I'm wrong, but it's semantics, which is, the whole point of talking, semantics.
Yeah.
I had to explain the word semantics to someone recently, which is such a meta conversation to have. Like, how do you explain the use of language with the use of language? Anyway, can I say two things? So Robin's awesome, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you always do. Was she not responsible for indirectly, like, your children and your whole life? Didn't she introduce you to your ex? Is that, or am I making that up?
No, it's not. You're making it up. No, actually,
No, that's fine. Just no. Keep it at no. We'll keep it at no.
Yeah, we go way back. Let's just put it that way.
All right. Anyway, well, and there's a funny thing at the beginning of the interview too that I dropped on you guys. So we'll sneak that in there too. As we always say, the entire interview will be available on our site, divorcedadplaybook.com, as well as cut-ups. For those who are members or who have been, taking advantage of our free membership until the end of the year, you've seen a couple of these clips with Robin just sprinkled throughout the site in different posts. There was one about what to do with your kids, and so we talk about that. So there's stuff that you're going to hear in the interview on this show that you'll also hear in the full one, but there's stuff in the full one or stuff in the clips that you may not hear on here. It's our just way of trying to get people, we always say, Scott, go where people are, and not everyone listens to the podcast. So some people just go to the site. So we want to make sure we have everything for everyone on that as well. Can I clean up a few things that I did last time that were very disappointing?
I don't know what you're about to say, so I could say maybe.
I mean, just say yes. Trust me.
I don't know what you're going to
Trust me that I know what I'm doing, and say yes.
Okay. Of course.
All right. Thank you. The two pop culture references that I made during the show that you actually got, ironically, were incorrect in both of them. And if you watch us on YouTube, I corrected them at the top. I had gone 36 hours at the point that we recorded with no sleep, and ended up being, I think, almost 40 hours straight because for some reason I felt like watching football after we did the taping on Sunday night. But it was a lengthy time, and I realized that the two pop culture things that I patted myself on the back for so well were both wrong. It's not Teddy KGB in Rounders. It's not pay this man his money. It's pay that man his money, which I absolutely cannot believe I forgot. It's like one of the most iconic quotes in movies of my generation. It's pay that man his money. And then the other one is The Simpsons, which you got inexplicably. I could not believe that you got the phone number. But I said KL54226. That might be the Flanders because it's KL53226. I'm like embarrassed. I know I'm the only one who cares about either of those things, but I'm like horrified.
I'm so thankful you just took a minute of everyone's time to correct those two.
We took like 100 minutes of people's time talking about this shit the first time.
Yeah, and I got plenty of emails from people about other things. Nobody said, by the way, I think the Simpsons phone number was off.
By the way, the show went up like yesterday morning. We haven't even given people enough time to respond to that. It's at the end of
Okay.
a show that's 70 minutes long.
Well, I challenge everyone who's listening that if that really bothered you, please reach out to me and let me know. I'm glad
Well,
that Dan apologized.
I've corrected it at this point. If it still bothers them, then they're just being dicks, Scott. Like it shouldn't still bother anyone, even myself. So thanks for making me feel indignant. One other thing that people have reached out to, did you realize I'm not even breathing between little cuts here because I'm not giving you an opportunity to make me feel worse? We have had a very positive response to people who want to be a part of the show. We've read a couple of them, people who either want to come on the show to talk about their story or just have been emailing us their story. And I know we're going to get to one of those in a second, but what I want to say, Scott, is keep that coming. It's Dan at divorce.playbook.com, Scott at divorce.playbook.com. Doesn't matter which of us or both of us you send any email to. We haven't shared your Instagram, so I don't know if you want that, but I'm at Dan Levy Thinks, and the site, both on Facebook and on Instagram. So if you haven't already liked us or followed us, please do so. It's at Divorce Dad Playbook on both of those social platforms. That's a good way to get in touch with us as well. If you want to be a part of the show, I cannot tell you, Scott, how many people want to be experts for us, want to be guests for us. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, they are experts. They want to be a part of the show, which is great. I agree. I'm seeing and hearing the same, and it's really awesome. I mean, that's part of the reason why we've created this, is to get additional people who want to help, who care, and realize that there's a gaping hole in this massively underserved market of parents who are divorced, right, and more specifically dads that are divorced that just need a little bit of guidance. And I've really been enjoying this. I've been enjoying the comments and people that have been reaching out and asking questions. And as we've talked on other episodes, I'm not the expert of everything, so that's why we like to bring in additional people to add on to what's going on. I'm an expert in my own experiences with this and bringing people together. So the experts who are coming on are great and exciting.
Yeah, and in all different fields that we haven't had yet. Obviously, Robin O'Brien's coming on in a few minutes, talking a little bit of personal training. I know we have other people in that field who will come on, and we'll do different things with different people. The people I've spoken to, very influential divorce lawyer. I don't know if influential is the word, because I guess if you're influential divorce lawyer, you're just good at splitting people up. But nonetheless, if that's your profession, you might as well be good at it. Talking to her today to schedule something. We have insurance people coming on soon, because I know that's a big thing for you. What else? I matched with someone last night, Scott, on Bumble from South Carolina, who's a yogi and very interested in maybe becoming a part of it and doing some of the classes. In addition to being on the podcast, this is something that we just sort of snuck in our business model, so to speak, the other day. We're going to run classes and stuff on the site. Like, this is going to be really cool. It's not just like the two of us talking. Like, there's going to be an opportunity for some of our experts to essentially lead programs and stuff through our site, the way that we have it built out, which I did not know. And it's kind of neat.
Well, I'm glad that you just found that out, that we did not sneak that in. That was always part of the plan, but that's okay.
You'd think that somebody who's in charge of the content on the site might know that before it's already built. But, either way, you do you. You said you got feedback from someone. Before we talk with Robin, do you want to get on that?
Yeah, actually, I'll sort of, somebody reached out to me, and I'll pose it to you. Actually, I'm just curious to see what you think, because you're actually a little bit closer to this, and were involved in this much more recently than I am. So I'm not saying you need to be the expert on it. I'm just saying this is what came out. And I wonder what Dan would say. So Jim from the San Francisco Bay Area reached out. Wow. Yeah. And he said, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, separated, wanting a divorce, but due to COVID, we're sticking it out for the kids. Any pointers?
You want my opinion on this? Oh my God.
I mean, I'm just saying that's an interesting one. I think a lot of people who, and that's something that he reached out, a lot of people that are listening and engaging with us are probably involved in similar situations. We know that COVID has changed the way that people have to do things and deal with things. And obviously outside of COVID, that there is certainly I've heard this quite a bit, that there's a financial burden for sure to divorce. So a lot of people say,
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
hey, financially we're sticking together, and most people, not all people, but most people say, and we're doing this for the kids. And that part always is very interesting to me because I have strong opinions about sticking it out for the kids.
Okay.
But I'm curious to see
Oh,
what
I can
you
answer
have
this,
to
Scott.
say. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm all over this one. Let's say this. First of all, I have come across people who said that they are separated and they are living apart, but they are staying separated, not divorced, for the insurance, for the health insurance, especially at a time like now. So that's one thing, and that just sort of anecdotally is something that I wish would have happened to me because the clock has been ticking on my health insurance for a long time. I still have a little bit of time left, but when that runs out, we might have a couple interesting shows because I don't know how much my medication is going to cost me, or doctor visits. So we'll see. Let's see what happens. We could fall apart in real time, and I'm not even being joking about that, Scott. So that's one concern that I know I've come across with people in terms of staying together. That's not necessarily for the kids, that's for the adults, but it's for the family. But yeah, this is a tough one because if you're staying in the same house because of the kids, now if you would ask me this question, gosh, 9 months ago, even probably 6 months ago, I would have said, yeah, absolutely, do it, figure it out. You love each other, you still love each other. Maybe you're not in love, which is something I learned is different than loving someone and being in love. I found out is different. I didn't know that. But when you say you're doing something for the kids, it puts a lot of pressure on them, and it's not necessarily fair to put that on them. I put a very different decision on my kids without them knowing, probably for the best for people who have listened to the last few episodes, that they didn't know and don't know. But every minute of the day I felt so much pressure. If you're frustrated with them, if you get in an argument with your kids, do you take that out on them? And I just got cut up yesterday for something else when we had Missy back on, and she talked about how kids are sponges and they see things and hear things that are there that you don't realize you're putting out. And that goes back to the post I did was your moniker for the site is love your kids more than you hate your ex. And what does that mean? Well, it means when you get frustrated with your ex, don't throw your phone, because your kids see the throwing of the phone and know that you're on the phone with mom, and that impacts them. Or don't bicker in the other room because they know, oh, why are mom and dad in the other room? Oh, right, they're fighting. And their imagination goes wild. But it's really tough, Scott. It's a really tough thing because I would have loved to have stayed together for the kids, but I also am cognizant now of the damage that would probably have done to them.
Yeah. Appreciate that. And I think back to just sort of focusing on Jim and specifically his question, I think that I get COVID. That's really hard right now, but that's hopefully going to come to an end sometime soon enough for most people. And I also get the financial portion of it, like you say, insurance, and there's just other financial realities that you may be going from living in a nice house together to possibly both living in apartments or whatever it may be.
Right.
My personal experience and feeling about it is, you know, if you can put finances aside, to your point, it's always better that if it's not going to work out, if you're staying together because you think it's going to work out, that's one thing. If you're staying together because you think it's best for the kids, it's not. It's not.
Okay. I
The kids
didn't talk
want
to Jim.
the kids want you to be happy. They want happy parents, whether they're together or apart. And from my experience, over time, parents who are separate are way happier and way better parents than parents who are
Oh,
unhappy
I mean,
together.
I
Than
get
parents
that.
who are
And
unhappy together because of the exact reasons you said, that you don't even realize the anger and resentment you have to your ex comes across to your children, and they
right.
feel that more than you know. So
But Scott,
keeping things separate is helpful to the kids.
two things. One, you're pontificating, looking out the window. So for the people who are listening only, they can't hear you as well. So you got to watch the stick, your giant monstrosity, as my kids call it, of a microphone. Just put it straighter up, because when you're talking outside, it's hard to hear you. And those are the most important things when you're pontificating, Scott. We want to be able to hear you. We want to be able to hear that deep thought.
You just like to say pontificate.
I do want to reference basically back to what you said about Jim's specific situation, because this happened to me. What happens when one of them think that you can work it out and the other one doesn't? That's a difficult, especially if you're trapped in a house with COVID and you're not going to go, get an apartment, or you're not going to sell your house. We've talked to realtors all the time, like how difficult is it to sell and buy during COVID? Just even doing walkthroughs of homes is like freaking me out. You put a hazmat suit on to go in somebody else's house. You have no idea how they're cleaning. But that's not what this situation is. I'm talking about just the logistics of all that other stuff that you have to think about during a pandemic. But in terms of trying to stay together because the kids are at home doing school and you alternate that, or, you can't go out all the time and the kids are cooped up and you want to make sure that they have, structure. I did not want my divorce. I did not want my life to be how it is now. Am I enjoying it? Some days, yeah. Most days, yeah. Some days, no. I'm not going to recommend what you said. Like if you're not happy, you can find ways to become happy. Now that has to be both people. That's where I'll agree with you. If one person's unhappy and stays unhappy, then the marriage isn't going to work. But for me, I'm telling you, Scott, I was miserable for 3 years. The only thing I thought that was keeping me sane-ish was my marriage. It turns out I was putting so much on that it broke it apart. It took until after I was married to realize, wait, maybe that was what was making me so upset, is the whole, being stuck. And so it's tough. It's such a difficult thing to give people advice for. Like I try and be an expert at everything. I have no idea how to answer this question.
Yeah. So maybe we should, maybe moving forward, we should just keep the questions coming to me. And as we send them to you, it's
what the hell is that? I'm allowed to have an opinion.
I didn't say you're not allowed to have an opinion. You just were answering it for yourself as opposed to Jim. Jim specifically said separated, wanting a divorce.
He wants the divorce. Did he say both of them do? Yeah. Did it say both of us want the divorce?
I didn't talk to him. He sent an email.
That's what I said, Scott. That was the second point of that. If he wants the divorce, but maybe she doesn't, then it's a different conversation. That's all I was saying. I was directly responding to Jim with personal experience.
Jim,
are you kidding me?
We think that you need to do whatever is best for your family and your kids. And we understand it's a hard time during COVID. Try and keep the peace during COVID until we can get out of this time, so the kids maybe are not at home doing school.
What I will say, Scott, to your point, you mentioned a couple of minutes ago, is when you said, and this is something we talked with Misty about, when you said, the animosity, I don't know if you used that word, you probably just said something much less articulate, that the animosity you have toward your ex is something that the kids can see. You mentioned your ex, and that's why I took that in that other direction a little bit, Scott, because you still have animosity toward your ex. I am in a current situation right now for circumstances beyond that is frustrating and difficult. And with the holidays coming up, I'm actually kind of nervous. We'll talk about that in a future episode in terms of how that's going to work for the kids. But in this case in particular with Jim, like, is it better? You still get in fights, maybe you less so because you've been divorced for 8 years, but guess what? If they get a divorce during COVID, they're not divorced for 8 years, which is why you asked me about this, not you, in terms of that context, because the divorce would be fresh. I don't know if that's better, because then you take a deep breath and you're like, well, I'm not under the same roof. You kind of feel like you're liberated. Like, well, now I don't have to put up with this bullshit anymore. And sometimes that's worse for the kids, Scott, because now you feel empowered that you can just be yourself around your ex because it's your ex. And that's difficult, because I was like that, and it's gotten me in trouble indirectly. I mean, I didn't do it to be in trouble, but like whoring it up around South Jersey with a pandemic going on is not going to make your ex feel great about you, apparently.
So I think this is the beauty of what we're doing here, and Jim will continue to, peck away at solutions to your quagmire. I think us.
Now you're just trying too hard.
I didn't try at all. I think us having experts and you
It's
keep
usually
referring
evident.
back to Missy. I think that us having experts on the podcast and on the site, especially to build this community, is helpful for people like Jim, because I think that we have
Sure.
our opinions, obviously, and I think that there's thousands of people out there that are probably in the same situation. And I think what we're trying to create is this forum where you can talk to people who are literally in the same or very, very similar position right now. And we want to make sure that you get the guidance from the right people who are going through it right now. Because even though you're newer in this, you went through your breakup pre-COVID. So I think that does add a new.
You're talking about me now, not Jim.
Yes.
Yeah, my statistics are now in the bubble of COVID because our technical divorce date was Paul's birthday in June. But we.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the day we had our court. That's the day we had our court date was Paul's birthday. Great day, never forget it. But we had settled everything
You're
by January.
You're even more newly.
No, that's bullshit too. Because no, and that's bullshit too. Because I've had that conversation with people like, no, stop.
It's not bullshit.
When you
no, it's not bullshit, because I've actually met people and I've even in the past dated people who had been apart for 4 years but still not
That's
divorced.
not what I'm
There's
saying,
something
Scott.
wrong. There's something wrong with that if you're not getting divorced for 4 years.
Again, Scott, and I've talked to people like this. It could be for insurance purposes. It could be for some other financial burden, which didn't pertain to either of our situations. Having said that, that's not what made ours go so long. Look, I've made it very clear, Scott. I got separated unbeknownst in October, and I was in this place that I'm in now, like February 1st. We got divorced. I signed the papers in January, and we got separated in October. That's swift when it comes to most divorces. It was just there's a backlog, and our court date would have been in March, and then they shut the courts down for like 2 months in New Jersey and everywhere. So that's why it wasn't until June, which is not the same as we were trying to hammer out a deal and work it out.
So your situation is unique to you, and everyone else is unique to them.
No, it's unique to a lot of no. It's unique to a lot of people who have to deal with this COVID stuff. That you can't finalize stuff. We were hold on, stop. We were good enough that we were.
I know why you're getting so fired up about this.
Because you're trying to say that I'm just talking about my situation, which I am not, and I'm explaining why to you. Because in my situation, my ex and I got along well enough that we agreed once the papers were signed, stamped by whatever notary, and filed, that was when we were sort of officially divorced. That's when the mortgage company was able to, and people need to know this. You don't have to actually have it adjudicated yet to be able to move on with your life. And in a situation like Jim's or a situation like anybody else out there, once it's notarized and once it's filed with the courts, your mortgage company will take that as enough of an understanding that you can then buy your spouse out of the house, or you can go and split assets, because that's pretty much done. Everything's been signed. The judge, it's a formality. And that was very important, because I consider the day I got divorced the day I dropped a giant check in a bank account and got bought out of the house. That was no longer my home, and now I'm sitting on a pile of cash. That's the day I got divorced, not when some judge said, okay.
Yeah, I think every state's a little bit different. So I want to be careful about what kind of guidance we're giving people, as you did that in New Jersey. I think that coming from somebody who has paid child support and alimony for a long time, the clock doesn't start ticking until the judge signs the doc. So there's different circumstances.
Yes.
Right. So there's different circumstances. So I'm just want to make sure it's clear. I understand yours. I understand how COVID has messed up. I'm not trying to pin you on a date or anything like that. All I'm saying is that for people that are going through this or thinking about it, to Jim's point, thinking about going through it, if things are splitting, if things are going to be splitting up anyway, the clock doesn't start ticking. And if you're in a position of you may have to be paying alimony, child support's a different thing. Of course, we're pro child support, very much so. But alimony is a unique financial consequence of divorce in some cases, and that alimony clock does not start ticking until you actually get it signed, and that's a big deal. So if you slow roll it for whatever reason, and you're a year out, that year doesn't count. So if you have alimony for 10 years and it takes you a year to actually get final divorced, then you actually have been paying for 11. So it's just
What's
something for
really
people to think about.
That's very interesting, and we have information about that on the site, Scott. Not that specifically, but a lot of stuff state by state. So you said it doesn't pertain maybe what in New Jersey. Yes, I'm speaking from New Jersey, but we do have information, especially when it comes to the like your child care plan. We spent a lot of time putting a database together. If you need forms, if you're going through this, and this is Jim, go to our site and download this. If you need the forms for how to create a child plan, the co-parenting, the custody situation, we have all of that. And it's not just the actual forms per state, sometimes even per county. I know in California specifically, there's different counties in the state have different rules and different forms. At least maybe it's the same form, but it's a different header that you need, the one from yours. We have a lot of other information on there to help moms and dads, but a lot of this is specifically geared toward dads on that page, with a ton of information. Protect yourself when it comes to that kind of stuff. Child support, alimony, custody, which is a huge deal in some states. The mother just by default has more custody rights than the whatever. It's just very, very interesting. So I'm glad you brought that up, Scott. I really am glad that you mentioned that. And to your point, every situation is different. Again, going quickly back to mine, I thought that was the case because the judge didn't stamp anything until June, that my insurance, I am on my ex's insurance for, I believe it's something like 18 months is the maximum I can get after we are technically divorced. And I was like, well, that clock starts in June, right? No, apparently the clock started in January, which I don't understand. I don't know how that's fair, but that's what happened because that's when we signed everything. So to your point, like, even though that might be the case with alimony, it's not always the case with everything.
Right. Right.
And protect how you word that stuff. Maybe that was my fault too. Maybe it says in there starting January for 18 months instead of starting the day that the divorce is finalized. And had I known it would take 4 months for that to happen or 6 months for that to happen, I would have done a better job.
Well, and I think the last thing, and then we can get on to other stuff. I think the last thing to remember is that no matter which side you are, the mom or the dad, going through this, I
was the dad.
It's gotcha. I believe that, again, your situation is unique to each other, and one may be paying some more money than another. It's just the way that it works, and you need to pay attention to the details. And I think that's what we've said, since the beginning of this, especially as you go through this, and whether you're working with a mediator or a divorce attorney, and whatever you need to do, we want to try and help you be more prepared going into that mediation or going into that meeting with the divorce attorney, because candidly, like, no offense to, I know we said we're about to have a divorce attorney as an expert on the podcast soon enough. We just don't feel like you should be in a position where you know nothing going in there, because they will spend hours and hours and hours explaining everything to you at a cost.
Yep.
And what we're saying is your situation, your state is unique, but being prepared going into talking to a divorce attorney can save you tons and tons of money. And we are
Absolutely
more than happy to try and prepare you with a lot of the resources that we have.
One of the people who works with us right now, also a divorced parent, that was their idea, was let's put together a glossary of terms that you need to know, because their lawyer completely talked over their head, and they were like, I ended up paying $50,000 to get a divorce. That was not money that they had. They had to get loans from family or banks or whatever. I don't even know. But then to have your own lawyer who's there to help you talking over your head, so you have to take time to be like, what does that mean? And now that's just hours that they're billing you, is detrimental to your bottom line. And so even that, Scott, to your point, is very important. And we're going to have that kind of stuff throughout the site. This isn't a plug for the site. This is just like, as you said, we're not always the experts. So sometimes we need to do the research and stuff. Speaking of which, do you want to joke around with Robin for a little bit?
Yeah. Robin's always a good time.
Yeah, she's fun. So we'll do that, and then we're gonna finally pay off the professional tease of the worst date of anyone we've gotten so far. And then you mentioned last time some dating sites. We'll talk about that on the other side. We're gonna sort of shelve it more for a future episode. But I do have some things, fun little game I want to play with you after that. So if you're cool with it, let's go talk to Robin, and I will see you, sir. Well, I'll see you right now because you're in this interview. Oh, this is a treat for people. But then you and I will talk on the other side. Scott, you're being outnumbered, I think, this time. Robin O'Brien is here, and we are going to make fun of you the entire time. You asked for this. You wanted to be on this interview. Robin, how are you? Thank you for doing this.
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
So you are the toughest person Scott knows, and he's afraid of you physically because he knows that you can beat him up. That's what you said before, Scott, right?
Well,
No?
I mean, I don't know if that's true, but we'll go with that.
When we were looking for people to help us as experts, as I say oftentimes, the way we started this whole project, Scott is Mr. Rogers. I learned how crayons were made because Mr. Rogers had a friend who worked in a crayon factory. And so Scott doesn't really know that much, but he knows people who know a lot. So when we were talking about who to bring on for exercise, for strength training, for all, he's like, we have to get Robin. So here you are. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And I
Scott,
do think that Robin is one of the toughest people I know. I didn't say that she could beat me up, but I do think she's
definitely not
one of the toughest.
Well, thank you.
We're all divorced, as Scott
we're all
said.
divorced.
You don't know this. Neither of you know this. So it was probably like before Scott's wedding, like not the day of, like just prior to that at some point. I had a huge crush on you. And when I found out that you were married, I was so upset. Yeah.
I wasn't married yet. I was just engaged.
No. Like when I did, I mean, like, just like.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I was way younger than you. Yeah, no, I was like, yeah, math will work.
But see, now you're the perfect age for dating. What are you, 40?
42.
Yeah, perfect. There we go.
Oh, don't get me wrong. The 50-year-old women are all about me on these apps.
I'm sure they are. Yeah, I like those 40. At first, I was like looking for guys my age. I'm like, why am I looking for guys my age? If I don't want to get married, I might as well look for young guys. But whatever. That's a whole other issue.
So isn't the saying you're only as old as you feel or as old as you look? So you don't look 50. You're fine. You could.
It's a weird number. You know, it's a weird number.
Can we start with that actually? Going the whole age is a number thing. You obviously, as Scott said, you've transformed your body. We were talking before we started recording that I've done a lot of stuff myself just at home.
Sure.
And you brought up that it's not just the strength, it's not just sit-ups and push-ups, but it's also nutrition and how you eat. Yeah. Just sort of broad strokes, how do you balance that? Like what's the most important thing for people to do? If you could work out, 5 hours a day, but you're eating a half a chocolate cake at night, like that's probably not going to help you.
Right. Correct. I mean, it depends what your goals are. If you want to lose, so abs start in the kitchen. That's just what it boils down to. And fitness is in the gym. They go hand in hand because if you want to lose weight and be strong or be fit, you have to do them both together. But there's a lot of people who just want to lose weight and they don't care about fitness. So they look really good in clothes, or maybe they even look good naked, but or it's a number on the scale for them. And there's a lot of people who work out who are really strong, but they have like 10 pounds to lose because their nutrition sucks. So if you want both, you have to do both. And there's no magic pill. You just have to do the work.
But they sell magic pills on the internet.
I know they do, but they don't work.
So speaking of that, it's interesting that you went there because I do want to talk to you about that kind of stuff. As you said, like I tried to eat better, and then I would use stuff around the house. Like I've one kettlebell, and like
you don't need a lot. Yeah.
What kind of, like the people who have these elaborate home gyms, and I know like Scott, you had one before, like you use them, and I'm sure that it's not just like a waste of money, but I've also seen people like you carry like milk jugs or like what kind of like hack can you suggest to people who like maybe don't want to spend $4,000 on a Peloton or a Bowflex or whatever?
I would back up and say it depends what people's goals are, but you can have all the fancy equipment, and yes, if you use it all, it's great. If space is an issue, if money is an issue, like you said, there's a ton you can do with your own body weight. You can squat, you can push up, you can lunge, you can run up and down your stairs, you can jump on your couch. So there's a million things, because I work with people who don't have a lot, and we can utilize a ton of different things in their apartment.
Sure.
A set of dumbbells is really easy to invest in, a set of dumbbells, because you can push, you can pull, you can press. Your kettlebell, same exact thing, you know. So I would say a kettlebell, dumbbells, or it's a good start, and maybe some bands. It's really simple. And then because then you keep it simple, people don't get overwhelmed by it, and then you can kind of go from there once people get into a routine of it.
What kind of thing? I have all of that, so that's good, because now I feel
it's
like I'm
very
smart.
simple. Yeah.
What kind of stuff can we talk dads, but obviously moms or dads can incorporate with the kids? I mean, I want to get to Scott, because we were talking about this before, that Robin and Luke have a thing, and he's older. He's in high school. My kids are younger. Zoe's 13, but doesn't really care. But Max is 10. So like, he can't lift weights with me, but like, what kind of stuff can I start to do with him so he feels like we go to the soccer field and we run around, kick a ball together? Yeah. Is there stuff that I can do that gets him?
Yes. So I think every kid is different. I would love being a trainer, love Aiden, my son, to work out with me, but he won't. And I'm trying to always find, okay, what can I get? What can I get? Again, a different story. So with your son, you know, you can throw the ball overhead, you can throw it chest, you can, you know, kicking the ball is great. You can do push-ups on it. I mean, anything that he can use. So body awareness is really hard for children to understand, like push-ups, their butts up in the air, you know, things like that. So they're not going to always do it perfectly, but you don't have to care about that. I'm sorry. But my point is, you can get creative. You can do squats with him. You can run and then throw the ball back and forth. You know, I'm just throwing things out there, but.
So pretty much you're telling me just throw stuff at Max.
No, I just mean, you don't just have to kick the ball. You can play catch, like you can throw it overhead, you know.
Work with the stuff that you have is, I think, what.
Yeah, like thinking outside of the box. Think outside of the box.
Right.
I'm not upset with that. I mean, he might not love it, but.
You can do bear crawls. You can do like grapevines, like karaoke's, you know. Think about school when you grew up, all the things that you would do in recess and make it fun. You can jump rope, things like that.
Well, so let me ask a question, Rob, and I think it's important because, Dan, as you were starting this and just talking about your background, Robin, obviously we go way back, and I think it is important for people to understand that what you're saying is you can work with what you have, because a lot of divorced parents and dads specifically end up leaving, you know, their normal space. So sometimes they're not able to bring their gym with them or whatever. So you work with what you have.
Right.
I think the other part is, because our big thing is, you know, really being focused on the kids. I think that's an important part of, you know, what I've seen with you, especially lately during the time where people can't go to gyms, et cetera, is that you have been working with Luke. Right. And so the reality is you can do stuff like this through video. Like right now we're on Zoom, like you can FaceTime, you can Zoom, and you can still help to train adults, kids, whoever really needs to, you know, have some motivation.
Right.
So you're saying I should be doing some like crunches behind while you're talking? Pretty much. Should I make best use of my time?
I think your abs are in the kitchen, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's really corny, but it's the truth. When COVID hit, all my clients, I go to their house, and when I wasn't able to go see them, thank goodness I was able to train them all online. Everyone, for the most part, was okay with it, or I would probably be on the streets right now, because it would have been really hard to pay my bills. So what I was going to say, there's really no excuse when it comes to fitness or health. You make the time for what you want to make the time for, right? So we can make excuses. I don't have time. I'm working. I'm with my kids, but it's bullshit, because you need 20 minutes, 30 minutes to get a workout in. So that's what I was going to say.
As a single parent, with a lot of people having, I mean, your kid's a little older, but with a lot of people having to deal with their kids being home and doing school from home, and they're trying to work and juggle a lot of things, what would you recommend? Is that like wake up 20 minutes earlier and do something then, or, you know, do it I mean, obviously people have different schedules, but how do you fit that time in? Because it sounds like, it's easy, but sometimes it's hard to find that 20 minutes.
with anything, we have to plan it, right? When you're working and you have meetings, it's on your calendar. You have a meeting 12 to 1. The kids need help 2 to 4. You're going to make them lunch. So every day I look at my calendar and I say, okay, these are my clients that I have from 9 to 12. My workout's going to be 12:30 to 1:30. And then I have some errands to run. So my workouts are on my calendar because I need to fit them in. And so when I sit with my clients and they say, well, I'm not a morning person. Okay, well, if you're not a morning person, then don't set yourself to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, because you're going to fail. So you have to set yourself up for success. But if it's truly if 5:30 to 6 is legitimately the only time that you have to work out, then you're going to have to dig deep and you're going to have to suck it up if it's that important to you to do. So you have to make a commitment. You have to put it in your calendar, and you have to plan, just like with anything else we do.
That's actually been my problem, because that was the time that I was doing it before the kids got up and stuff. And
Right.
then once I got separated and then divorced, my schedule changed. And now I feel like I'm up until 2 in the morning instead of going to bed at 11. And so I don't wake up as early, and now I'm totally lost. Like I don't
Well,
exercise
Right.
anywhere near as much as I used to.
So
Yeah,
you just
you're-
have to
you're-
reset, because things change, right? I mean, some days I work out at 12, some days I work out at 10. It's not going to always be the same time. You look at your
Yeah.
day, and if you're finding that you're going to bed so you have to go to bed earlier now, you have to just reset. And
Go ahead.
sometimes-
Scott's laughing. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
Rob, he's going to bed at 2 a.m. because he's
Right.
out on dates every night.
Well-
Like he's making it seem like he's like can't sleep well at night or something.
Not
He's like,
every
"No."
night.
Well, so here's the deal too, just getting back to the whole divorce thing. And Scott, you can attest to that because you've been divorced the longest, but divorce is a transformation, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. And so Dan, where you are right now in your life with the dating and the moving and like the grooving you're not going to be like this way forever. So maybe you have to so either your workouts are going to suffer or you're going to figure out a way to work out. But 6 months from now, you're going to get it out of your system and you're going to get sort of back to a little bit of normalcy. So sometimes you just have to go with where you're at and then know it's going to change. Even
So
though
you're
it's
saying
hard
in 6 months, I'm going to have a lot less grooving? Because the grooving is, I don't mind the grooving.
I know, but it's like what Scott, you know what I'm saying, right?
Look, I totally get it. And I agree. Part of the fun of all of this is that Dan is experiencing stuff
Right.
that, we've
Totally.
all experienced at one point in time as
Sure.
single people, single parents, whatever. And right, he's not going to prioritize. And for me, it's different. Like I'm just really busy, but I think what you're saying, Rob, is resonating really well with me, because I think the biggest point to me, and probably to all the other people that struggle with, I'm so busy now because I'm a single parent and I have to work and juggle a kid
Right,
or kids, whatever it might be, is that you don't make time for yourself. And I think the one thing I've learned over time is that you got to be a little bit selfish. And I don't think it's being so
And that's
selfish to like
fine.
want to work out.
Sure.
Right.
Right.
So I think what you're saying, it really resonates. And I think it's also something that we can help people with. I think people figuring out their new time and their new schedule is one of the hardest things to do.
The
Like
hardest
you
thing.
said, we're transitioning.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely for me too.
When I sit down with my clients, the first thing I talk about is they say, okay, I'm going to work out with you once or twice a week. And I say, okay, well, what are you going to do on your own? And we sit down and look at a schedule to really be realistic about their goals, because it's easy to say, I'm never going to eat chocolate cake, but after 3 weeks, you're going to want chocolate cake. If even with our kids, we have to set them up for success. We're not going to give them unrealistic goals that they're not going to be able to achieve, and then they feel bad about themselves. So why would we do that to ourselves? I don't like to run. I'm not going to run on my own. I'm not going to train for a marathon because I will not do it. So I'm going to set myself up to do things that's going to make me successful. And that's how you should look at your fitness too. Do things you like. If you like to play basketball, you like to run, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be traditional gym things. It's going to do whatever is going to bring you joy in your fitness world. That at least that's the way that I look at it. It gives kids such confidence, and also just to be aware of your body what it's doing, how it's moving is so important too, it just filters to every part of your life when you feel good about yourself, whether you're 13 or
Yeah.
you're 45, it doesn't matter. Just every aspect it really helps you with. So
Wait, so Rob,
Yeah.
just because a lot of people listen to us, but there are people that watch us too, and just because, like, sorry to do this to you, but you got to show us some of these tattoos you got on you. You
Are you
Oh my
have
God.
no, you have to, like because
You
people
don't
who
have
are
to.
watching are seeing a little bit of this, and like just show like your arms and your hands, like just like because
God.
we started off like, yeah, now we're talking,
They're
right?
nice for-
Hold on. Yeah, there you go. Now you're on the.
Right there we
I
go.
can't even see myself right now. Yeah.
Well, Scott keeps talking, and then it kicks to him because it doesn't know
Oh,
that. So the Zoom keeps kicking to Scott because he's talking.
I have a few,
great TV.
and next week I'm getting a little bit more down.
Oh yeah.
What do they call that? That you have. I saw a lot of people saying this on Facebook during
This
the
is
height of COVID, that they were saying, I have like I have a hankering for some ink or something. Like I don't know what exactly the phrase was, but like
you're the
like
oldest man in the world.
I don't know that one.
that's not old. That's what people were saying, that they felt like they needed to get inked up.
Thank you for doing this, and you'll come back and we'll make fun of Scott more.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Wait. Did I really block the view of people seeing your tattoos, or we got that?
I mean, I got it a little bit, but when you talked, it popped to you.
Oh, I'm looking at all three of us. It's my bad. I'm a rookie at podcasting.
But you
Please.
could see which one has the yellow box around it, and that's the person that would be seen in the main view.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. I was gonna come sit and just put like a sleeveless shirt on, and I was just gonna say, okay, I'm totally naked just for the interview, but I lost my nerve. I didn't-
Our audience is continuing to build, Rob. Like someday you might be in
Next
high
time.
Next time I'll do that.
I've never seen you more obsessed with a woman's tattoos than you were in that conversation. What the
Not
heck?
that I'm so. By the way, she's super fit and very muscular. I hope that came across for those of you that are watching. She's put a lot of work into it. You know, she's no spring chicken. So it's
Oh my God.
she's done a lot of work. She looks good, but those tattoos kill me. And the reason why I talk about it is because I just remember her when she had none, and now she has so many, and it's just
That's
funny
what
to
happens,
see.
man.
It's like through the
That's what
years.
happens.
That's why I was saying I thought she was getting like addicted to ink.
I never had a tattoo, and people always ask me, and the reason I've never gotten a tattoo, it's not because of this, but we grew up with the understanding that you can't be buried in a Jewish cemetery. I don't want to be buried. Just grind me up and throw me into the R and the Rutgers football field. I'm fine. But is that gross?
It's just weird.
That's what I want to do. Actually, I want to be compressed into jewelry so my kids can keep it with them at all times. That's what I want to do. It's a little expensive.
That's weird too.
Well, that's what I want.
So,
So
do you actually have this stuff written down, or are you telling me now and I should be remembering this if you go before
you know,
me?
it's funny. We talked about this before the interview about all the legal stuff that you need to know. We do have a will, and I do not believe it has been updated since the divorce.
Yeah, you need to
And so,
update
like,
that.
no, it's important. Like, who gets custody of the kids and stuff like that's very important. So I should probably talk to my ex about that. We should probably get that done before too long. But to your point, I wouldn't get a tattoo, not because of that, but partly because of that, but more because to me, it's out of respect for the people in our culture who were in the Holocaust when they were branded and tattooed without their choice. And some of them, you know, there was a lot of weird things when Holocaust survivors were starting to die. Are they allowed to be buried in a Jewish cemetery? And just even the conversation is uncomfortable to have. And so because of that, I said, I'm not getting any ink, and neither are either of my kids. If they want to still have me, you know, they can do anything with their hair. They can put any holes in their body they want, just out of respect for where our people came from. I would prefer that. Also, Max is a hemophiliac, so that's a terrible idea in and of itself. But nonetheless, it's funny how fascinated you are with not just tattoos, but just with like Robin's tattoos specifically.
Well, I've seen through time like each one, and as every time I see her, there's more and more. I used to always say to her like, just keep it off the face. Like don't be like what's that
Mike
singer?
Tyson, you know,
No, not Mike Tyson. Who's the very popular?
Takeshi 6ix9ine.
Oh come on, dude.
Why is
Like,
that?
like,
He was very. There's like a Hulu documentary about his
no,
whole story.
like the guy. Why can't I think of his name? The guy who's got
Post
tattoos all over
Malone.
his face. Yes, there we go. Post Malone. He's got tattoos all over his face. I just say to Robin, I'm like, don't. You can't Post Malone this. Like, you got to keep it on below the neck. It's getting
I
close.
mean, I just gave you 3 good examples of it.
Okay. Well, I was
Could've gone
looking
with
for
any of
Post
them.
Malone. I wanted Post Malone.
You know, there's you know, we have a lot of Pop Funkos. I mean, I don't have one here actually, but you know, we have a lot of the Pop Funkos everywhere. There's a Post Malone Pop Funko. Maybe that'll be your Hanukkah present coming up.
It's really exciting.
Anyway, let's talk dating for a second. First, I mentioned that I had the worst date ever. People were not thrilled with us making fun of the South Jersey accents back in that episode. I don't remember when that was. I think it was actually the episode. It might have been episode 5 with Nicole Ananda or thereabouts, somewhere around that time. And they were like, "You're so pretentious." They thought it was hilarious, but like the two of us talking about like how we don't have South Jersey accents or Philly accents. But
I think you
Yeah,
got more
you know.
crap about that than I did.
You were
Nobody
the
was
one
making
that's-
nobody was making fun of me for making fun of South Jersey accents.
All right, so this is
I'm
from
far
Cammie,
away
who
from
actually
that.
is from the Philly area as well, but this was when she was up in New York. Okay, so here's the story. I probably won't do it justice, but here it goes. Let's hope she does it justice. Met this guy on Bumble, my least favorite of the apps. We both loved travel, so kind of bonded over that and loving sushi. I met up with him after a friend's Christmas party last year, and he decided we were going to Nobu, as people in New York. That's a nice restaurant.
Yes.
He sent an Uber to pick me up. I was in New Jersey and he was in NYC, so I didn't have to take the subway. I get to his place with the driver, which was a very expensive high-rise in Midtown, and he takes literally 20 minutes to come downstairs. So I'm just sitting there with this driver waiting for him to get in the car so we can go to Nobu. Now, I was hoping that the story would go that she hit it off with the driver and then ditched this dude and then went to Nobu on that same reservation with the driver, which would have been amazing. Not so. He comes out in all caps with his dog. Cute dog, I said, but you can't take your dog to Nobu. He says, "Oh no, they know me there," all caps. So no big deal. So we get out of the car there and he holds the door for the dog and not for me. Then we get seated and the dog sits next to him on the bench for all of 30 seconds before it proceeds to lose its shit, barking its head off. Everyone is looking at us. We make awkward conversation for a bit. A few minutes after the food comes, he gets up and says, "I think the dog has to poop." And then leaves me there at the table by myself. I legit thought he was going to ghost me with a $300 tab. But no, he came back and put the dog back in the booth, and it proceeded to steal an entire sushi roll off the table.
The dog did.
The dog stole the sushi roll off the table. He does nothing. I get up to go to the bathroom and never look back. I take the path home like the regular ass woman that I am, and SMH, that's shake my head for old people like you, at this story. That definitely is a worse date than mine. I just had like uncomfortable conversations about everything, but that's amazing.
Yeah, it's not great. And I'm an animal lover and I love dogs, but I don't know how I feel about dogs being in restaurants, nonetheless, really fancy restaurants.
Inside, I don't mind it when a dog, like you're at Panera, you're at Starbucks, and there's like people outside having a coffee, like the dog's coming under their feet and stuff. I was in a restaurant a couple of weeks ago, and it was like the outdoor seating, but it's like indoor, but like it's totally covered. And relatively it was a chain restaurant, but it was like a higher end chain restaurant, and the people had 2 dogs with them, and they were cute dogs, but I'm like, what is happening? You can't bring a dog in a restaurant, but I guess you can now. And these were not service dogs. These were not like I have tons of respect, especially for military people who come back and have service dogs or companion dogs. I forget the exact term. What am I saying? For people who need the companionship and need somebody else around, they don't have a person. That is legit. But this was just like 2 dogs running around people's legs, yipping and barking and stealing table scraps. That's an amazing story, though. Stole a sushi roll? I mean, come on.
So, well, at least the guy paid, I suppose.
She left. Who cares? Maybe the dog
Right.
paid.
Well, it was a good story for him too, I suppose. Then he got
think it was a less
ghosted at Nobu.
Could you imagine if he tells his friends that story? Like, oh, I went out with this woman yesterday and I spent like all this money to get her an Uber to the city. And then I take her to Nobu and like, she just ghosted me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Why'd she ghost you? I have no idea.
There's two sides to every story. That's the whole point. I think that's a good lesson of that, is that I think that's very funny from her perspective, but I'm sure he was probably pissed.
If you can top that story, which you can't because it's a dog eating sushi, Dan at Divorce Dad Playbook. I'll spare you, Scott, those ghost stories or horror stories of dating. But Dan at divorcedadplaybook.com. I will read it. You can also, as she did, send it to me on Instagram or any of our other social channels. We have them up above us most of the show. I'm at Dan Levy Thinks, so feel free to direct message me, and then you can direct message or follow the show at Divorce Dad Playbook on Facebook, Instagram, something else, Discord. Get us on Discord. That's going to be a big part of our site in the future. We're building that out right now, so that's cool. Can I show you, to end this, let's have some fun, quick fun. Can I show you something that happened to me yesterday? Less fun, but then we'll get to some fun stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, this is, so I don't know if you're not on any of the dating sites right now. Nope. But you have been on, I don't know, have you ever been on Tinder? I don't know if that's information you want out there. But,
okay. I was never on Tinder. Nope.
Tinder is hilarious and amazing. And occasionally you meet somebody who's like not an awful person. Like it's, especially when you're like a relatively stand-up guy, you can rake on Tinder because everybody else there is just like looking for hookups and stuff. So if you're looking for something more than that, like to actually get to know a person, like, well, anyway, so what happened this weekend, this is like big news. This is like all over the country. Tinder, like their algorithm or something got jumbled. And so for a short amount of time, it was like down. It was very hard to get onto Tinder. And then when everybody got back into it, I think they did like a software update because there's like a lot of new features and whatnot. All of our old matches somehow got thrust to the top of our match list. And so everybody thought that these people who they hadn't talked to in months, Scott, are new people or people who like after months hadn't responded. And this happened to me right here with this one in particular. You can see the first one, and I blocked out my phone number, but you can see the first one. Saturday, March 14th at 1:38 p.m. I sent that. This is a woman who I then proceeded to text back and forth with off of Tinder. But it says, up to you. Mine is, and here's my phone number. This is 2 days ago for us. What is up to me? You like blew me off months ago. I'm so confused here. Did you blow me off months ago? Pretty sure you did after we spoke. And I'm like, hold up, lady. I didn't write you back. Look at the date. And so you can see on mine, Tinder had this crazy reboot this weekend, blah, 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 blah. She proceeded, Scott. She came at me, this woman. She's like, here, it's like, we actually spoke on the phone. We did quite a bit of texting. You totally blew me off. You dumped a lot on me because this was like, 6 weeks after I got divorced and I had a lot of mental health issues going on that were active. Now I can talk about them a little differently because I've been working through this stuff. But at the time I was a mess. And I'm not saying that that's an excuse, but still it says, I was very accepting.
2 days.
I was very, yeah, well, yeah. Cause I was very accepting and then you blew me off. So my response, earnestly, for the people who are listening, not watching, sorry, hope you found people better than me. I was a dick to this woman. She was upset. It's got nothing to do with being better than somebody. You're just trying to make me feel guilty because you told me all about your psychological issues. That's why I said, that's why I said, I hope found people better than you. That doesn't make any sense, but I'm trying to read it verbatim. That's not right to say. You're trying to make me feel guilty because you blew me off. How does that work in your mind? What? I was being serious. If I blew you off, I'm sorry. And I hope you found people on here who treated you better than that. She wrote, I'm still here. So I didn't, but thank you. She thought I was basically like blowing her off and being passive aggressive. Be like, well, I hope you found somebody better than me. Good luck. No, I wasn't saying that at all. I was legitimately like, I was a mess. I'm sorry. I hope you found someone better than me.
Yeah, I don't want to open up the whole Pandora's box of communication again because I know people feel itchy about when I talk about communication, but this is just an example of two people, one thinking one way, one thinking another, going through essentially through text. I know that's on an app, but it's basically texting each other,
And then we texted after that.
and just not being on the same page in life and where you are and what you're looking for. And so she obviously is still looking for her person, and you've found lots of people. So there you go.
And I'm still looking for my whatever. I'm not even going to say that. But I will say this. I looked back at the text before I responded to her to see if I was like a total dick. I do not recall having a phone conversation with her, although I'm sure that I did. I'm not saying that that's untrue, but I don't think it's fair months later to be like, you threw a lot at me. All you do is listen to someone. How did that impact you? Like, whatever. Kidding me? Sorry you had to listen to someone on the phone once. I looked at the text. We just dissipated. Like, we just didn't have as much interest. And then, like, I texted, she texted, I texted, she texted, and then we stopped texting. I didn't blow her off. It just
We'll
didn't
do
work out.
We'll do, like we said, we'll do a show on apps and dating and everything later. I have lots of thoughts and experience in the past on that stuff, and I think that this is an example of somebody who just obviously is frustrated through COVID and felt as though, you wasted her time. So it's okay.
Right. And I'm sure I did. And I'm sure I wasted a lot of people's time, which is why I talk to you about this. And I try to be as self-aware as possible that when we talk about ghost stories and me getting ghosted, I guarantee you there are people out there who think I ghosted them. This woman probably told her friends for the last 6 months that some guy that she talked to on the phone who went through all of his rigmarole of mental health issues ghosted her. I didn't ghost her. Ghosting is when somebody writes you 3 or 4 times, just like, hey, are you there? What happened? We had a good connection. Where the hell are you? And then you never write back. That's ghosting. Sometimes people just drift apart. If you send somebody one text and they don't respond, then they're not interested. They didn't ghost you.
Right. Well, everything's it's your own interpretation of what ghosting actually means.
No, that's not my own interpretation. No,
I'm saying it's each of your own. Like everyone.
No,
who's
what
out
I'm
there,
saying,
if you had a full conversation with her, like and we're texting and then never
it fizzled
and then just
out.
dropped it. Okay, well she can call that whatever she wants.
This is we need like we need a ruling on this.
There's got to be like a ghosting expert.
There's got to be like some dating. No, you don't need an expert. That's what I'm saying. We just need some like dating counsel from all of these sites that says like, here are the rules of ghosting. Ghosting is when you disappear from someone and they think you're still there. So they're texting you 3 or 4 times. I actually texted back and forth with a woman yesterday, and then either she fell asleep early or she ghosted me. I'm going to find out today, because if she doesn't write me back, then I was ghosted, because I sent 3 or 4 messages in response to one thing. Not like, hey, where the hell are you? But just like, whatever. That is different than one text, no text. It just didn't work out.
Yeah. So I think we should have a dating app,
Guru
focus show.
Yes. So let's have some fun with that for a couple of minutes here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some profiles from the different dating sites that I'm on that I've come across. And I don't remember all of these for sure. So you tell me if this is someone I matched with or not, or someone I would have matched with or not, because maybe I did already and I forget. Are you ready for this?
Can't wait.
I try not to show people's pictures, but the first one I'm going to, and obviously you won't see the name. The name will be blacked out here. But can you see K here?
Yeah.
Never have I ever taken a gym selfie. And then right below it, it's a gym selfie.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
I understand
funny.
like the gym selfie is like, never have I taken a shirtless. I love the women online who say, if you have a shirtless selfie photo, keep it to yourself. And then like 6 of their photos of them at the beach. You're showing more skin per inch than a guy with shorts on and no top. Like,
yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and say, this is unhinged. I'm going to go ahead and say you did not match with her.
I did not match with I've never taken a gym selfie followed by a picture of the selfie, unless I thought that was ironic, and then that would have been really hilarious. Okay. Yeah. This one, 15 miles away from me. This is amazing. And for people who are listening to this, again, like, where we are in the show, just stop where you are on the timestamp and then go to our YouTube page and then just pick it up from here, because you got to kind of play along with these. This is educated, self-sufficient, and determined. No hookups, please. My goodies are special. Thinky face, winky face, which is a good combination of the faces. I'm looking to be treated like a queen, and hopefully it'll lead to a great friendship, capital F. But life happened, Flower. If you can't hold a conversation, please swipe left. Don't waste my F, lots of stars, clock, which is time. Not here to text until we fade away. Smack myself in the facey face, and then like the hands up. What are you going to do, face? Did I match with this woman or not?
I'm gonna say you did.
I didn't, but I should have in retrospect. I absolutely should have. I love this.
Yeah.
My goodies are special. Thinky face, winky face.
And
And
also,
I said
like,
that out loud when I was looking at it. Thinky face, winky face. I totally would have matched with it just for that.
yeah, I think this would have been somebody that would have been really interesting for you to.
This person, very close to me, lives very close to me, in the market for a whirlwind online virtual affair ending in marriage, friendship, or murder. Basic nerd interests: books, comics, anime, podcasts. Also, EDM. Do you know what EDM is? We talked about this on the first episode. Electronic dance music, EDM. Come on.
Oh,
Whiskey.
yikes.
Amazing use of whiskey here with the parentheses E in the middle. So it's either whiskey or whiskey. Travel, cry face, because we can't do that anymore. And food. I like guys who like banter, have a good sense of humor, are open-minded, and send memes. Please try something between hi and let's work. Literally anything but small talk. P.S. Vanilla isn't my fave flavor. If you have to ask, it isn't for you. Do you know what any of that means?
I mean, I don't know what you're blacking out of here, but just age alone, I would not. I mean, this is somebody who is not in my age bracket who
I'm
talks
not
like this.
blacking out her age. This woman's 31 and lives, or is less than a mile from me. My age range on all these dating apps is somewhere around 30 to 50. I'm 42. So, I mean, sometimes it goes up to 52 because I feel a little guilty. She matched with me, by the way. Let me put it that way. This woman came. I didn't match with this woman. She actually fell into my matches on, what is this, Tinder? And
Yeah,
so, did I match back with her or not?
You definitely did.
Absolutely, 100%. And what's interesting, and I actually wrote her. I was being careful about this because, like, she's not my style in terms of, like, she's young and just not whatever. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Different kinds of attraction. But in terms of like intellectual attraction and social, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Like, this woman could be my best friend.
Yeah, you could have you could have written this.
I mean, she's looking for a virtual affair ending in marriage, friendship, or murder. Like, come on, that's it right there. You had me at murder.
Yeah.
The vanilla comment, for those who are chuckling at home, Scott. I don't know if you know what that means.
I have no idea what that means.
Well, I found out the hard way, no pun intended. The first week I was ever on these dating apps, there was a woman who I matched with in Pennsylvania somewhere, and she had something about how she doesn't like vanilla. And to which I wrote back, and I was like, as like a flavor, or like, are you talking ice cream? Like, just trying to be cute. And she was like, well, I actually don't really like vanilla ice cream, but that's not what that means. And I was like, what does it mean? And she's like, when you put in your dating profile that you don't like vanilla, it means you're into BDSM. Which then took me down a very deep, dark path that whole weekend, where I thought I was going to drive out to Pennsylvania. The first weekend I was ever on a dating site to get like tied up by some lady. It turns out it didn't work out, but that's what not vanilla means. It means pull out the restraints and whatnot.
So she says, P.S. Vanilla isn't my fave flavor.
Right.
Meaning she's not into that.
Meaning, like, she probably would be into conventional physical relationship, but more likely she wants to do some weird shit. Yes. That's what that means on dating sites.
Wow. This is a complicated world.
Maybe I need to update, Scott.
Girls.
Maybe I need to update our 92 acronyms that you might find on a dating site.
I think you could add about 4 or 5 just from this profile alone.
Hi, thank you for checking out my profile, exclamation point. Looking forward to chatting with you, exclamation point. Wishing everyone the best. Cute face, winky face, lips, little hand, jazz hands, heart.
Yeah, you probably tried to match with her.
No chance. Trying too hard. Okay, here we go. This one. 38, bisexual, 26 miles away. I can't read any of these words except difícil, Fiarmos, de nos mesmos. Everyone who knows Spanish is laughing at me. I know this one. It says entre no Tinder, p conhecer, whatever. It's basically like now something about not having casual sex. But everything is in Spanish, and I know it ends with do sexo femenino.
I'm starting to not have a
You're taking
great
too long.
read.
Yes, that was 100%. Yes, absolutely. I want to see how that goes. This one. This is important that we keep the information on there. I'm a PhD candidate at Drexel, and I need to develop a creative hobby. I don't know if that's why this woman's on Bumble or not. I love peeling dried glue from my palm, using pantyhose as a tea bag, and gentrification. And then you could see socially distanced mask, 5'6", active, in grad school, never drinks, never smokes, likes dogs, doesn't know what she wants yet, Aries, conservative, Jewish. And I say those out loud for the first time on all of these because that is important. As I spilled all over myself.
Yeah, I have no idea what she's talking about. So I would say that you probably were curious enough to try and go out on a date with her.
I actually was very, very close to saying to trying to match with this woman. I think I ended up not, if I remember correctly. The peeling dried glue from her palm is amazing. The pantyhose as a tea bag, I don't know if that's a sex thing or actual tea. I think it's actual tea. And then I thought, well, and gentrification, like, ha ha ha, this is a good social commentary on like the nature of our cities and how the urban sprawl has really pushed people out who don't have the income. No, and then I saw conservative, and I was like, oh, I think this woman actually is pro gentrification, and I don't want to have that conversation. So that was a no. I teach yoga. I used to write a dating column, and I didn't try skiing until I was 33. Are this woman's two truths and a lie? This woman is, I want to say, just around 40, straddling 40 one way or the other, I forget, and is across the river from me, but relatively close.
I mean, yeah, we've already talked about this in earlier podcasts that I don't like the two truths and a lie, but regardless, yeah, you probably tried to connect with her.
Yeah, 100%. Anyone who puts in there, whether it's a lie or not, anyone who puts in there that they wrote a dating column,
yeah,
I'm matching with that woman just to see if she'll work with us and be an expert on the show.
But by the way, just for all the experts that we do have, it's not a prerequisite that you have to go out on a date with Dan.
Doesn't hurt. It's definitely not. It makes it awkward sometimes.
And most.
Oh, that's the last one.
That
was the last one.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Most of our experts do not go on. That would be very unprofessional.
Yes. Just wanted to make that clear.
Also, let's just put it this way, Scott. People are people, and they're allowed to do whatever they want with their lives, and you shouldn't be judging people. Sometimes somebody can be an expert in one thing and then also still be a human and want to have like a social life. And you should not shame people who maybe want to hang out with a guy who's fun and spontaneous and silly and has impulse control issues and like is a great first date, self-proclaimed and otherwise. And then if that doesn't work out, you're like, you know what? Let's still be friends. You're an expert in this field. Maybe come on the show and we'll have some fun that way.
Yeah, you took that.
Why is that?
You took that way further than I meant it. I'm just saying that all I was saying is that I'm just making it clear to the audience that the experts we have not necessarily got on a date with you. So that's all
that you know of. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, I'm not. Yeah. It's yes. I don't want to disrespect anybody who's been on the show. You're absolutely 100% right. I'm messing around with people.
Even though you just messed with Robin, let her know that at my wedding you had a crush on her.
It wasn't at your wedding. I think it was like earlier than that, like engagement party type of stuff where like the first time I was like, oh, all right, let's get this going. Come on, man. This should be the song that we put on when we're trying to, we have these little cartoon videos. This is the song that we should put on when we're trying to get people to become experts. Hello, ladies. By the way, we have men experts coming on at some point, I think. I don't know. Whatever. Look, I'm kidding. And by the way, can I just say this one thing? And this is like going to get me in trouble. I don't care. I hate when men say I'm a feminist. I for some reason that like makes me irksome. Like, you can just say like I support women. You don't have to be like I'm a feminist. Like to me that takes away feminism from women to be like I'm a feminist. No, you just support women. I support women. My ex is brilliant, PhD. I'm in awe of what she's done in her life. My oldest, like just an amazing human and So I'm joking around. You don't have to like, but I'm horrified if anyone out there thinks I'm being serious. That like you have to date. Like this is like so against everything I believe in terms of like the only way you're going to be an expert on the show is if you hang out. This is an absolute joke. There have been, for those who don't know, a couple of times that I've hung out with people and that didn't work out romantically. So it's like, hey, but you're brilliant. Like come on the show. And that's where Scott is taking that as an extreme to say like you don't have to date Dan to be on the show. I just feel the need to maybe mention that at this point.
Good. I'm a big fan of empowered women too. So we agree on that.
Oh my God, we agree. Let's stop the show right now. What do you have?
That's fun. I'm looking forward to the next one. Kids first.